Hello everyone. So let us go through some of the updates from the Atlassian ecosystem. And this week, there are a few things that are interesting. So let us talk about the first update. The first update is about Compass. Now, I am not really sure if you ever tried Compass. I have tried Compass a couple of times, and I'm still trying to understand a practical use case for it. The idea seems interesting. I mean, when you go to the Compass product page, even if you try Compass, in fact, you can actually go to your Jira instance and you can actually try Compass, and it will basically set up one instance for you. I believe for less than 3 users, it is free. But this update is about linking your. So it is not just about linking your business goals to initiatives, but there are a lot of other things that you can now see in Compass. For example, you can track your package dependencies. You can also connect your ServiceNow instance to your Compass. And to get started with Compass, just go to your Jira instance. I'm trying to give you like a shortcut. And if you go to any project, for example, if you go to Android project like I'm doing right now, and if you go to the project settings, try to create or go to the components section in your within your project. Now, of course, when you go to the component section, you will be able to create a new component. But if you are doing it for the very first time, you may be taken directly to Compass. So you have the option to basically just switch your components to Compass components. So when you do that, it will basically bring in, I mean, if you don't really have a component like a Compass setup, instance setup, then it will take you to Compass, and it will then let you look at Compass, and it will let you configure different services. I have tried Compass, as I mentioned in the past. The idea, it seems like you can basically link a lot of different things together, and it will give you a dashboard where you can monitor each and everything in one place. So this is something that you should give it a try. For example, if you create a new service, you can actually link it to your team, and then you can link it to your different activities. You can also link it to your repositories. So if you are new to Jira, then this will look like fascinating new thing. But if you're already using Jira or Atlassian tools, then I think this may look interesting. And I would say don't jump into it. Just give it some time. For example, when you configure a new service, you have a lot of different things that you can check. For example, you have this new dependency where you can actually link it to your libraries. And if you try to click on new, let us say you create a new component, right? For example, when you create a new component, like I can say here that, okay, this is a new service, another service. So if you're, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, do give it a try, like going to Compass. And when you create a new service here, and if you go to that service, you will then get a lot of options, like you can basically link it to your repository. You can also link it to your documentation, and of course your work items like in Jira. And when you have defined everything, like connected everything, then it will basically give you some kind of a dashboard where you can monitor a lot of the different things coming from different tools. So this update, like this new, like linking or bringing things together, is, I believe, a new feature that will be added to Compass. I think it is already there. I just need to give it a proper try. So let us move on to the other update that I have for you, and that is about Trello. Now, Trello is, of course, a very popular tool. People use it for task management. And I think last week, or maybe 2 weeks back, I think there were a few updates related to Trello, which I shared on my channel and also on this post. By the way, if you want to get these updates in your inbox, then consider subscribing to our newsletter. You can go to ravisagar.in/newsletter to get updates from me directly. And we usually post like once once a week, not really a lot of updates, but I think these updates will help you if you want to stay in touch. All right, so yeah, we did talk about Trello and few new things and features related to Trello, but there is a new feature which is about mirroring your cards. I guess it is like syncing two cards together. If you're coming from Jira Word, then I'm sure you may have heard about a situation or a use case or a requirement from your client where they want to keep two issues, I should say work items, in sync, right? So this mirroring card is something similar. It will basically keep those two cards in sync. So it's a small feature, but Trello is a popular tool, so I'm sure a lot of people will be happy. I don't use Trello. I have done a couple of projects, implementations where I moved teams from Trello to Jira. And I have also done a session on Trello for a client long back. And it was a very difficult thing for me to do because when you get used to Trello, for example, if you start evaluating Trello right now, you can actually cover it in literally a couple of hours. It is that simple. Just the basics of the tool is all you need. And there is nothing much to Trello. So Trello is a good tool actually, but I think if you want to do something a bit more than simple task management, then of course you should be using Jira. All right, so moving on, let us talk about this this blog post from Atlassian. Now, on my channel, I have covered many times Agile, Scrum, boards, and estimation. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about how to do estimation when it comes to using Agile, Scrum especially, then I think this blog post can be useful. I'll tell you in like few minutes what this blog post is all about. So this blog post is about planning poker. Now, planning poker is basically a technique that you can use, especially if you're using Scrum board, or I mean, it's not just about the board. I'm basically trying to be very Jira specific here, but when you are trying to implement or adapt agile practices, then you need to also think about how to estimate your work. Now, if you are, let us say, working on a project where you have a team and you are given a responsibility to deliver something regularly, and you're trying to follow agile practices, you have done your courses, you may have hired scrum masters or really good project managers, but you are struggling to estimate. You can, of course, estimate based on story points, and just getting the idea of story point is very difficult. But story point is all about complexity. For example, if you are trying to work on a feature, then you can of course estimate based on number of hours, but number of hours is of course not always great. You should use number of hours for purely for billing purpose. But when it comes to estimating the work, you really need more than a number of hours. You also need who is working on that particular task, whether that particular task has been done in the past, and of course based on the availability of your resources. So there are few factors, but primarily it is the complexity and the person who is going to work on that particular story or a task. Now, planning poker is basically a technique where you ask everyone in your team, your Scrum team, like based on the requirement, you ask everyone, like at the same time, what should be the story point. For example, if you're working on creating a very simple login page, then everyone will probably say, okay, the story point should be or could be 2 or 3. And by the way, I'm using the word here story point as 2 because I'm trying to keep it very simple. Usually, I recommend my clients when they are new to Agile, although I'm not really an Agile consultant, I'm a Jira consultant, but I tell them, okay, use something in the range of 1 to 10, just to keep it simple. 1 is, of course, very simple, not complex. 10, of course, is most complicated, piece of work. And when you are trying to estimate based on story points, of course, do it on the stories. And the definition of a story is that ideally you should try to finish it in one sprint. Let us say usually 2 weeks. So don't really try to use story points on epics. Of course you can, but do it on the story on the stories or tasks. So basically, when you ask everyone at the same time, they will say, okay, 2, 2, 2, but maybe one person will say, no, it is 5. So you basically have a discussion around it, and then you do it again. So basically, the idea here is that you ask everyone at the same time so that they can all give their independent opinion or estimate, and then you basically have a discussion around it, right? So this is basically all about planning poker. Of course, I'm trying to give you a summarized version of this, but I think this blog post can be useful, especially if you are new to Agile, if you're new to Jira, if you're new to Scrum. I think in the beginning, as someone who is new to these things, you should try to, learn. Of course, watch useful videos like my videos, but of course you should try to keep an eye on various updates and blogs from Atlassian. So I think this is a useful post that you should definitely read. So I'll of course share the link in the description. Right, the other update I have for you is related to Atlassian intelligence. Now Atlassian recognized as an emerging leader in 2025 Gartner Innovation Guide for Generative AI Technologies. So this post or this award is not really the important thing, because it is good to see these awards, but we as a consultant, we need to basically understand what it means for us and for our clients. I think it is a good thing, because if Atlassian is getting these awards, no matter how, I don't know, I don't really always trust awards, but it gives us this indication that Atlassian is invested, and they are of course focused on AI. I think everyone is focused on AI, and good thing is that Atlassian AI is already there. If you are using Jira Premium version, if not, give it a try. I do manage a couple of Jira Premium instances, and now we have like a button somewhere on top right corner to do things. I have tried it for doing simple things like creating automation rules. I mean, not really simple thing, but I tried it. Like last week, I tried asking Atlassian AI to create a rule to automatically create subtask or task based on a transition. It did a decent job, but not really a great job. But I think it will improve. I'm not trying to be too harsh, but I think because Jira, lot of things in Jira, and of course other Atlassian tools, if not each and everything, but a lot of these things can be done using REST API. And I think with the help of Atlassian AI, and when it gets more data input or prompts from users, I think it will improve. So I think in near future, you can actually create those rules, or in fact configurations in Jira, by simply telling or asking the Atlassian AI. So this award is, I think, a good indication that we as a consultant should not ignore Atlassian AI. In fact, AI in general, I'm a bit behind when it comes to AI, although I've recently started using ChatGPT and Claude AI and Perplexity. No, not really Perplexity, but I need to try. But I think Atlassian AI is something that I need to definitely, keep an eye on. All right, so the next update is about the upcoming event. Now, I noticed this Atlassian Community Connect Faridabad. I had no idea that there is a Faridabad community as well. So now I know Delhi, Gurgaon, I also know Faridabad now, and there is also Noida and Greater Noida. So I think there are like 4 Atlassian communities in Delhi NCR region, which is amazing. But this event on 15th of June, which is I guess next week, is about Atlassian community. So there is no specific event like any agenda or session, but I think it's all about getting to know about the community and benefits of joining Atlassian community. So maybe I think you should consider going there if you are in that region. I think Faridabad, going to Faridabad, especially like I am when I'm in India, usually in North Delhi, and from North Delhi, I know reaching Faridabad, I think it can take some time, but fortunately there is a metro. So I think if you are in Delhi and if you are free on June 15th, which is I believe next week, maybe you should consider going. Okay, so a couple of other things. The other thing that I want to talk about is this video of the week, which I made in the past. Like I think it was I think it was sometime last year. It's not really a recent video, but in this video I wanted to talk about the assignee field and the user picker field. Now we all know that when it comes to Jira, there is usually, like, we all know that in Jira, not usually, but in Jira, assignee cannot be like a group of users. Assignee has to be just one person, and it is of course not really. When it comes to the assignee field, people usually complain. So it is not always desirable, because my clients always ask me. I think it's very common. People ask me, Ravi, we want to have more than one people who should be notified or who should be working on this task. And of course, when it comes to, to be honest, when it comes to assignee field, I know it's just one user at a time, and I also know that it may not be desirable for a lot of people, because they may want to have ownership of 2 people or 3 people. But at the same time, I think we are using Jira. I think when you're using a tool, and if the tool was built fundamentally to have just one person as the assignee, then I think that is how it is. So I'm not really saying Atlassian is correct or users are correct. It is how things are. And fortunately, Jira is a configurable tool, so we can always configure it to basically support those use cases. So yes, assignee can only be just one person, but you can always create a user picker field which can be used. And by just creating a user picker field, it will not really mimic the assignee functionality or feature. You have to basically use that particular user picker field in your notification. Maybe you want to use that particular field somewhere else, maybe in your automation. So yes, you can improve things in Jira by doing something else with the user picker field. Maybe you want to have approvals where when a person is selected as an approver, then they can get notified and they can basically approve that particular issue or work item. So this is something that I talked about like in detail, so you can watch that video. Apart from this video, I also want to talk about the blog of the week. So we wrote this blog, top 10 Jira mistakes, and I wanted to also elaborate a bit more on these mistakes. So when it comes to Jira, of course, good thing about Jira is that it's a configurable tool, and yes, we can configure it to suit our requirements. But this feature is also like, if you don't use Jira properly, then you can actually misconfigure Jira. And although Jira is configurable, but it is too configurable in my opinion. So you can actually mess it up. You can actually keep on adding mess to it, which I understand you have to configure the tool. But if you just keep on doing it, then you will eventually reach a point where you will not be able to clean up Jira. And that happens. I've seen that a lot in my experience. So this blog post will definitely help you if you are a new Jira administrator. So there's also one more thing that I want to talk about. Recently, I posted on the not on the community, but on LinkedIn. I normally post on LinkedIn. I don't really like posting on community because I think Atlassian community is not really. When I post on Atlassian community, I don't really want to because if I post something which is not really aligned with everyone else, then people might not like it, and they may get offended. But I wanted to talk about it. So we all know about the work items, right? Now, this this work item is, of course, a bit confusing, and it is a bit difficult for us, especially people who are already using Jira, right? Now, we all know that the word issue has been replaced by work item. It's not just work, it is work type. So we have work type, we have work item, we have work type everywhere now in Jira. And I posted on LinkedIn that it is, and I'm trying to be very open and honest about it. I understand why Atlassian changed this issue to work type, because they wanted to use like a very generic term. And I understand, for new Jira users, it might be, I'm not saying it will be, but it might be slightly better or easy to explain. Like, yes, we're talking about a work item or a work type. But I think whether you are, so let us talk about like different type of people here. So if you are using Jira, let us say if you have been using Jira as a user, then I don't really think you really care whether it is issue type or issue or work type or work item, because you're using it, right? So if you have been using Jira, then I don't really think they care, at least the users. For them, of course, it will be a bit confusing because now they see work item everywhere and they were used to issues, especially for those admins and consultants like us, because we are also used to the word issue. Whenever we are talking to our clients, we are always saying, okay, epic, task, subtask, these are all issue types. We are not used to the word work type. And to be honest, it doesn't seem right. Work type. Maybe we are not used to it. Maybe we'll get used to it in 5 years, and then Atlassian will change it again to something else. So I think by solving this problem of making this term generic, I think Atlassian has caused confusion for existing users. And for new users, even for new users, you have to explain what is a work type. I mean, you can't just expect them to know work type, right? Are we talking about a category here, or are we talking about some actionable item? And I know issue is slightly negative, the term or the word in English, but even for explaining it to new users, once they know what is an issue type, what is a work type, I think they know. So I don't really think this change was massively like it was not really like a critical thing to solve. And of course, all the APIs, for example, in the URL itself, it says issues and then issue types. I'm sure Atlassian is thinking about it, like they will probably change it somewhere, but yeah, that is how things are. I mean, I don't really think they will change it like quickly. And what I also wanted to talk about in this session is I think Atlassian is changing these things too regularly and too quickly. It's not a good thing, because I think as a tool, Jira is a tool which people use, and Jira is in a way a skill set on its own. I remember like 15 years ago when I used to do consultations, I had one point on my presentation where I used to tell everyone Jira is a competency, because I knew back then that Jira will become a competency, and now it has become a competency. So I think Jira, I know Jira is not really an open source tool. It is owned by Atlassian, and Atlassian is of course a company behind Jira, but there is also some responsibility. If you're changing your UI or navigation every few months, it's not a good thing. You're actually causing a lot of problems for everyone. I think there should be some consistency. I like my tools to stay like this, or in a certain way. I don't really want the behavior to change every 6 months, because not only we have to understand how it works, how it will impact, but also for our clients. because not only we work directly with the end users, we also work with other Jira admins, and it's a massive problem, especially in the recent times. So yeah, not really trying to be honest, end of the day, not a big deal, but I like consistency. I don't really prefer a lot of changes and unnecessary changes. For example, if you look at Excel, now I remember when like around 20 years ago, I used to do a lot of work in Excel, like a lot of work. I've built tools in Excel. In fact, I have written a book in Excel, Excel VBA, not just Excel, but Excel as a tool. Uh, if even if I use Excel right now, I will still be able to work um, like before, because I can still I still remember. I mean, not I don't really remember all the shortcuts, but my fingers remember all the shortcuts like muscle memory. When I work on Excel, I just work on Excel like fluently. It's like doing something on a piano, right? Making music, because I'm too used to it. Because Excel, of course, it has changed, but it is compatible. So I don't mind these changes in Jira, but I think there should be. I think Atlassian should give a lot of time to users to maybe switch to the new feature. I think they do give time, but it's not enough. Or maybe they should introduce new changes or features and with an option to switch if they want. But right now, of course, it happens for everyone. The new navigation and these changes, I think, yes, it was not instant, but now there is no option if you want to switch back. I mean, the few things can be switched off, but not really each and everything. So yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about. I mean, just a message to everyone who is using Jira and also to Atlassian. If I'm doing some criticism here, I'm not really trying to, I mean, my intention is to give you feedback. All right, yeah, so that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this session. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and you also enjoyed listening to this podcast, because this session goes to Spotify as well. All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this session, in this video, in this podcast. I hope you learned something new, and you also enjoyed watching this video and session. All right, thank you. That is it. Bye bye.